Hello everyone! I hope all of you are having a great day ahead. Before continuing to this video, let me introduce myself to all of you. My name is Sivarajini Francis and I am a foundation student at CTU Malaysia. This is my first assignment for the subject Professional Communication, which is known as Picture Response. Before continuing to this video, let us take a close look at the picture I have chosen below. Well, I hope all of you have taken a closer look at the picture that I have shown below. What makes us question about this picture? Well, if you can see, it seems to look like a normal picture which shows us the scenario in a classroom where a tutor is presenting and the students are listening. But I think all of us can notice that there is something wrong and weird going on in this picture. What do you think it is? Well, I think all of us have guessed it right. The listeners in the room are sleeping, whereas the presenter seems to look like he is lack of interest in teaching. Well, I think based on the information gathered, we all can conclude that the listeners in the room are falling asleep. But have you ever wondered what makes a listener in the room fall asleep during a presentation, a meeting, or even a class? In my opinion, I think that the audience in the room tend to fall asleep because the class is conducted in a very boring way. There are many reasons what makes a presentation more boring. Firstly, it could be the lack of structure in your presentation. Not true. I hear your protest. I know my product. I've researched my prospect and their industries. I've practiced my presentation. Yes, that's all very important. And it's also nothing compared to what the competition have done. What about preparing the vehicle that is delivering your presentation? For example, your voice. Is your voice loud enough for the audience to be listened clearly? Can you attract the audience's attention about how you are telling a story? Question yourself. Secondly, your physicality. The way you bring up yourself pretty much explains how you have prepared your presentation earlier. For example, maintaining a good eye contact with the audience might help to increase their focus during your presentation. Was your usage of non-verbal communication such as eye contact, gestures, facial expressions and posture appropriate enough to hold the audience attention? And thirdly, did you read from the slides? Moving on to the second point, which is what is another reason that could make your presentation more boring? In my opinion, when your presentation is visually unappealing, it tends to make the presentation more boring. Presentations with bad graphics and layouts will not entice the person sitting in front of you to pay attention to the information you are presenting to them. For example, when your slide contains too much information packed up together in one slide, it makes your audience lose attention. Moreover, presenting with the plain slides without interesting templates could also make your presentation boring. Too much information packed up in the slides without having interesting designs such as tables, graphs, interesting images, it could make your audience lose interest. More often or not, a presentation success hinges on its visual appealing. You have over-prepared your slides with abundance of information, your audience won't find this very impressive. On the contrary, your audience will find it difficult to absorb the information. Mountains of text in a slide will cause your audience to lose focus. Moving on to another point, let's talk about the third reason what makes your presentation boring. In my opinion, I think that the lack of interaction between the presenter and the listeners is because a good communication between the presenter and the audience will develop a good relationship between them. It helps the presenter to understand the audience and their interests. The presenter gets too much carried away with the information he's trying to bring up to the listeners. He tends to forget to maintain a healthy relationship between the audience. The audience feel unengaged with the presenter. It makes them will lose interest to focus. Now, I would like to suggest some ways how to make your presentation more interesting. I would like to suggest to not to be indifferent to your audience. Very often, people and even our friends refuse to listen to us when we start a long conversation on a topic that is uninteresting. So, choose a topic which could grab your audience attention, because having an interesting topic could really affect the person's perspective. Other than that, you need to make yourself more pleasant. For example, make sure that your vocal usage is appropriate. Use the correct volume, pitch, rate, and pause when it is needed. Secondly, increase the usage of your non-verbal communication, such as eye contact, gestures, facial expressions, and posture. Avoid reading straight from your notes when you're delivering your speech. Second way that I would like to suggest to overcome a boring presentation is by having a healthy relationship with the audience. Try to have some appropriate humor with the audience. Always share your life experience or stories with the audience to make it more interesting. Sharing personal experiences with the students makes them believe that whatever you're trying to convey to them will actually work out. Also show some interesting movie clips, pictures, or even tell them a poem to make it more interesting. An idea that I would like to suggest to overcome a boring presentation is by having an interesting visual aid. For instance, try not to put too much information on your slide. Try to adapt the usage of graphs, charts, tables, videos, movie clips. But not least, always remember that the key to a very successful presentation is practice. These are all the information that I have gathered from the picture, and I have suggested some ways how to overcome it. Thank you for watching.